Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into something really fascinating, an idea called the corruption of nurture. It's this hidden logic, this invisible thread that actually connects ancient customs with our modern financial world. Okay, so what if I told you that your bank loan and an ancient marriage custom are actually driven by the exact same hidden logic? I know, this sounds like a huge stretch, right? But stick with me because by the end of this, I think you're going to see this incredibly surprising and really powerful pattern that links them. We're about to uncover a fundamental code that's running just beneath the surface of our societies.
So, to really get this, we've got to look beyond just interest.
Yeah, we all think of interest as a financial term, right? The cost of borrowing money. But what if it's not just a fee? What if it's just a symptom of something much, much bigger? A whole system where the very idea of care gets twisted, corrupted, into a claim for payment.
Okay, so let's get right to the source of this. The whole thing builds from two fundamental and totally opposite concepts. And the difference between them is, well, it's tiny, but the consequences are absolutely massive. First, you have the Arabic root concept, rob. Think of this as pure, unattached care. You know, it's the force that lets a forest grow or helps a community thrive. It's just the act of giving and supporting, nurturing life without demanding anything extra back.
But then, watch this. You add just one letter, and the entire concept flips into Riba. And Riba, well, it takes that beautiful act of nurturing and slaps a price tag on it. It's kind of like a parasitic vine wrapping around a healthy tree, not to help it, but to drain the life from it. Suddenly, that original act of care is corrupted into a demand for more.
So that's the fundamental shift right there. Rabba is about raising life. Riba is about charging life for being raised. One is about generative growth, helping something flourish. The other is about extractive profit, charging something for the support it needed just to survive.
All right, to really see how this plays out, let's look at a really powerful cultural example. This is a case where you can see these two opposing logics, one based on justice, the other on extraction, showing up right next to each other. Well, we're going to look at two very different kinds of payments you might find in some marriage traditions. One is a core part of the system, totally based on rights, and the other? It's an external demand that is a perfect, textbook example of the logic of riba. Okay, check this out. On one side, you have something called mahr. This is a required payment or gift that goes from the groom directly to the bride. It's her contractual right, a fundamental piece of the whole agreement, totally based on justice. But then, on the other side, you have this thing called milk money. This is an external demand from the bride's family. And the justification is that it's a fee for having raised her. And that is the key. Milk money is where nurture gets converted into a bill. It's where care is turned into commerce. The logic of rob, the beautiful act of raising a child, gets twisted into a riba-like claim. All that past care is now being used as leverage in the present. It is a pure act of extraction standing completely outside the actual system of rights. So now that we've seen this one really specific example, let's zoom out. Because, this isn't just about marriage or finance. It's a universal pattern. It's about power and dependency.
And the structure is always the same. It's a three-step process. First, you have the trigger, a dependency. Someone needs help, right? They need support, they need a loan. Second, the tool, leverage. That very need is used as a tool as leverage against them. And finally, the toll, an extra return. A payment is demanded that goes way beyond the original help or value.
And once you see this structure, this dependency, leverage-a-toll pattern, you will start seeing it everywhere. Seriously, it's in financial interest for sure. It's in cultural milk money. It's in the penalty fees you get for being late on a payment. It's in rent that comes from pure dependency. It's even in some forms of exploitative taxation. It's a logic that's all about power dynamics, not just money.
So, what's the alternative? Well, there's a really clear rule laid out in the Quran, verse 2279. And it's simple. Take only your principal. Do not wrong and do not be wronged.
That's it. Any added gain you get that's beyond the principal, any profit that comes purely from leverage and not from a real exchange of value or work or shared risk, that is riba. The principle's just that simple. Help should stay help. It shouldn't become a tool to extract more. So what this all boils down to is two completely different, totally opposed ways of seeing the world. Two laws of growth. The first is what we can call the Rab law, raise without demanding return. This is all about generative, sustainable growth. You invest, you support, you nurture something to create real value.
like a gardener tending their crops. The goal is the harvest, right? Not sending the seeds a bill for the water.
And then you have the Riba law, raised in order to extract return. This is the law of extractive growth. It's not about creating anything new. It's just about using someone's dependency to transfer value from them to you. It might look like growth, but all it's really doing is depleting the system it's feeding on.
And that's really the big takeaway here. Extracted growth is basically an illusion. It's a zero-sum game. But given growth, that's reality. That's how things actually grow. It's how families, communities, ecosystems, and yeah, even healthy economies actually multiply their well-being.
So that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Now that you can see this pattern, this logic of corrupted nurture, where do you see it? Where do you see care turning into commerce in your world? In what ways have you seen a genuine act of support get twisted into a transaction? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.